yourselves. Tell me about your background and what brought you to the automotive industry.
First of all, I come from Scotland, and I've been in America over 30 years. When I came to America, I started off in marketing. I worked for Maritz. That was 1986, believe it or not, and that seems like a long time ago. And I worked there in marketing, and specifically what I put together were incentives for major automotive companies. Ironically, I put together marketing incentives for all of the majors except Ford Motor Company. And then a few years after that, Maritz got a contract with Ford, and they sequestered me from working from GM, Toyota, all these other companies to work for Ford, and no one wanted to work for Ford, and I ended up working there on their projects. I worked for Ford in 6 different countries on different projects, and then they hired me, or they made an offer to hire me basically. So this was all in Detroit, Michigan. So I started in St. Louis, ended up in Detroit, Michigan. Worked there for about 15 years, and then when some of the executives left, ironically, Rachel Richards, who's actually retiring today, how about that? She was the VP at Ford in about 2006 or so, and I was recruited to go work for Sonic Automotive. At that time, Sonic Automotive, publicly held company, they had 187 dealerships, and my role there was to really establish their pretty much their digital platform. I had a lot of experience in that from Ford Motor Company. Used to work with Ford.com and Ask Ford and all that stuff. Okay, I'm also a 6 Sigma black belt, so theoretically into all of the data, right? So the bottom line is that I ended up at Sonic. I established all of their digital platforms, all of their metrics, all of their data, all of that stuff, supplier relationships, all of that, and then left, and ironically ended up at Hendrick. Now Hendrick Automotive Group is in Charlotte, as is Sonic. So it was an easy move, if that's the way of putting it, across town, and sort of started off in the e-com end of things, and basically things have dissolved since then. I'm kidding. So we started off in the e-com sort of end of the platform, e-commerce and all that stuff, digital, and we went through some reorganization from a company point of view. So at that point, basically, I joined the variable operations team, and that's pretty much it.
I originally hailed from Maryland, and I moved down to North Carolina to go to college. I had dreams of working in NASCAR, actually, and graduated not so great economic times, and ended up being recruited through a temp agency to work at the Automotive Group as an administrative assistant, which is the role I held for the last 12 and a half years.
Okay.
And as of last week, I now report to Chip, and I'm a variable operations support specialist, so I'm going to be working more in the phone and internet and all that stuff.
And Megan worked way above her station.
Way
Okay.
above her, yes.
So it doesn't do her justice to say she was an administrative assistant.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And I'm Chip Fesperman. I've been with Hendrick Automotive Group a little over 18 years. And my background is mostly all automotive. And I started right out of college and worked in a variety of roles in dealerships. And then, like Brian, I spent some time at Maritz, in consulting work for Maritz, working primarily on an old brand that doesn't even exist anymore, Pontiac.
I remember Pontiac.
And
I worked for Pontiac too, actually.
And so I spent some time with them. But that really started my consulting career. So I was consulting and selling in the automotive space, and I got picked up by Hendrick about 18 years ago. It's been wonderful. And interestingly enough, just in doing my consulting work with dealerships, I learned a lot about CRM and telephony, just helping them resolve some of their issues, and that put me in a good position to do what I do for Hendrick Automotive Group.
How many rooftops does Hendrick currently have? Any more locations coming yet this year?
The number I've been using lately is around 94. And in June, it looks like now it's going to be June the 8th. We're going to open our BMW dealership in McKinney, Texas, just right outside of Dallas. So that'll be number 95.
But in terms of the number of brands, it would be well over 100.
Oh yeah, in terms of franchises.
Yeah.
So what growth have you seen at Hendrick in recent years?
Yeah, I would say in growth for us has really come from the teamwork between our operations team, which some of us are on that team, and our marketing team. And so we now have a dedicated marketing team, and they focus on generating online and offline traffic for us. And then our variable operations team, of which the three of us are members, we're responsible for coaching our dealerships on turning those opportunities into appointments and ultimately sales.
So when you asked about growth, did you mean the number of stores or performance?
Both.
So I would say from a performance perspective,
Yeah.
that's kind of where we've seen the growth. And it's been primarily in internet and phone.
I think there's been a lot of focus on process.
Yes.
The thing is, as much as we have evolved, I mean, our customers have also changed, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing we've seen over time, right? The amount of time that they're spending online. And therefore, I think what we've done is to really focus on customer engagement processes. And obviously, phone is one of them, right? And candidly, that is where the greatest opportunity lies. And that's really been our core focus over the last few years. And specifically, that's what we refer to as organic growth. And that's one of our key areas of focus as we move into, this year.
And understand when the three of us talk about phone, internet, and walk-in, that's how they start their interaction with us. The prospect starts his or her interaction with us. However, we're using a variety of different tools to communicate with those prospects throughout the process.
Yeah.
Phone, texting, video, email, all that falls into it.
Kind of building off of that, tell me about the value of the phone. What is the phone's role in building customer service?
Chris says we're always a phone first company. But having the excellent customer skills, to deal with people and make sure you're getting them where they need to go and getting all their questions answered. I think that's the first step in getting them in the door.
Absolutely. And as we grow into 2024, our dealerships have always been very focused, certainly in the last 10 years, on making sure when our clients arrive, they're greeted warmly and they engage in a positive experience from the start. And I think we'll have more focus on that as we go into 2024. One of the things that Brian and I have been working diligently on is helping our teammates prepare more for our visitors so that when they show up, they feel like they're welcome guests in our home, and that we have everything laid out for them so that we don't waste their time, and their time spent with us is efficient and productive and warm.
Yeah. And for me, when you use the term phone, that to me is kind of arcane. I think that, phone is, in the old days, that was a landline. It's not a landline anymore. I mean, it's digital, right? There's lots more information that we have now in terms of those contacts. The mere fact that we can read transcripts, the mere fact that we can run AI. I mean, phone is really our greatest opportunity to really expand our understanding of the customer contact and also the customer's expectations. And that starts to define the customer experience. And that's one thing our team have been working on the last year or so, is really to better understand customer expectations such that we can deliver a superior experience. And the phone is obviously a very immediate way to connect with customers. Having said that, as far as the connection routes, so to speak, have changed. A lot of folks are using text. A lot of folks are using video. But guess what? It's pretty much all going through this thing called phone. So really, where do you draw the line from a phone point of view? I mean, I think that it's almost that word itself really needs to evolve
it really does have to open up.
Yeah.
Because as Megan said, we're a phone first company. We have been as long as I've been with the company. But from our perspective, it's not necessarily a phone call. It's reaching out to make that connection. We may do it by texting through our CRM. And then we send a video, and that video, certainly the phone's going to be an aspect of that. And then it goes out via our CRM or texting.
Right.
And so, and the better we are at phone and the focus that we have on phone is our highest volume of traffic comes from our websites and our internet leads. But if we can't engage with that client over the phone, the potential for them to show up and give us a chance to engage with them face to face goes way down. And we see that across the board. So yes, the internet and generating those prospects online is incredibly important to us. But we also know that the second step behind that is going to be working on the phone. And we also hear from our marketing team that one of our best engagements and conversion points on our websites is the phone. So we get the click to call piece from the website is a major engagement piece for us. So we've got to learn how to get better on the phone. And having the transcripts, Brian, as you mentioned, that's key for our efficiency in managing that and coaching that part of the experience.
Yeah, and I also think the data associated with, this digital piece, in the old days, you were pretty much counting phones, right? How many rings did you get? How quickly did you pick up the phone? That kind of thing. And basically the results. Nowadays, we get a lot more insight into the, specifically what actually went on. And this is really one of the areas where, if we're looking at sales opportunity, what are they truly sales opportunities? How well did we handle the particular call? We've now got a lot more, in terms of insights to be able to manage and improve the way we interact with those customers. So really, when you mentioned growth earlier, I think that, frankly, I'd say it's more about efficiency. I think that what's happening is that we're basically doing more with what we've got, and the way we're doing it is to more intelligently use our data. And I think even evidence of this is our class that we're working on downstairs here. I mean, the mere fact that we have our trainers in shows the degree of interest from a company point of view of simply understanding all of the data that is available and then making sense of that such that you can use that to improve performance.
Yeah, it just directs performance improvement.
How are you leveraging technology to gain more insight into your phone handling and build accountability among your teams?
So we have our regional trainers in with us here in Car Wash this week. And that's really what we're striving for, is for them to better understand the technology tools that we have in place that they can use to better coach our frontline associates in dealerships. They're learning about setups, and they're learning about all the pieces to call bridges and how calls are recorded and how calls are scored. They're learning all that this week. Not that they didn't know it, but they're learning at a deeper level. But the other piece is the whole intention is so when they get in front of our teammates, our variable managers, our sales and F&I managers, and our client advisors, that they know how to coach them appropriately. Not so much to be the score in the system, but to use those scores as a guiding tool to help us know where we need to coach them more.
So I think from a technology point of view, there's a theory called the grand theory of convergence. Okay, and that's been around for a while. And basically it means that everything is coming together, maybe to a point of singularity. I'll probably not be around by then. But what we're seeing from our business, the mere fact that we're talking about phone and CRM almost in the same sentence, pretty much tells you that we're pulling, from a technology point of view, we're pulling all of the data points together. And frankly, as simple as that seems, that was never possible before. So what we're doing here is to start to pull all of this together. So all of our data is converging. And once you start to, understand what's going on in the digital world from a call it a phone perspective, a telephony perspective, and we can actually see, that sort of reciprocal effect and response within the CRM system. That's where we're starting to get a lot smarter. And frankly, our team has put together some early basic reporting tools that I think over the next few years we're going to see significant improvements on. And what it identifies are gaps. And where there are gaps in our business, that's where there's opportunity. And that's what we've done with technology of late. We're starting to pull all of the disparate pieces together into one reporting dashboard.
We're kind of excited about the opportunity to be here because that's one of the things that we want to work on this week is how can we improve and help the team at CarWorks better understand the type of data we need in order to provide the right feedback to our teammates on their performance.
Yeah, and even the degree of detail. I mean, that's one of the things that we're going to see evolving. Again, it's not just a case of being able to measure results.
It's more about what happened as we led into that result.
That's right. We always talk about a dealership being like a tunnel. Remember that? And on the one end, we see all this traffic going in the tunnel, and we see the results coming out the other. The mystery is what's in the tunnel, and that's where you get your business processes. And that's where we need to apply our focus to get better.
Yeah.
Because we certainly have a good supply of traffic going into the stores, right? And we certainly know, we can certainly measure, we can count units, we can count dollar bills. We're pretty good at that. What we need to get a lot better at are the processes and really understanding what is the best fit for each store. So for example, if you get highline stores versus import versus domestic, there is a difference. Difference in terms of the product set, difference in terms of the customers, etc., right? So what we have to do there is to have a flexible architecture so that we can meet and align to those particular either business needs or focuses. And that's really what it comes down to. And I think from a Hendrick point of view, we allow that. We establish guidelines, and so long as you're sort of playing within those guidelines, it's up to the store and or the region to deliver the results.
I like to think we're something more so than maybe a large dealer group, which we are, but a publicly held group. We like our dealership teammates to feel like they have a degree of entrepreneurship in their location. And it's our job to keep them within the guidelines of state and federal regulations and then our best practices, but to also help them absorb that and make it their own.
From a corporate point of view, or a home office or a management company point of view, we support the dealerships. And I think that's one thing that from a culture point of view is very different in the Hendrick organization versus others. We all wear uniforms. We all wear the same colors. We're all on the same team. That's really what it comes down to.
It's all about serving the customer and serving each other.
That's exactly right.
And it goes all the way through. One of the things that Megan and I are going to be focused on as we go into the rest of 2024 is working with our frontline associates, our guest services teammates that often are the ones that are handling the inbound call and directing that call appropriately, or they're handling overflow calls where our other teammates may have all been on the phone and they're the backstop, working with those associates, because we see that role as a critically important role in our organization. It's often the first face outside of a video that our prospects get to see when they arrive at the dealership. And if they can recognize those folks and they remember having a great experience with them on the phone, that just makes everything start and work better. And if it's efficiently done, then it improves that overall customer experience.
How does the phone relate to Hendrick's marketing efforts for the group and at the dealership level?
Yeah, every marketing partner that we have has a dedicated tracking line. And we manage that through the tracking line summary report. Probably one of our favorite reports through CarWorks. That and the Chris report, we love both of those. But yes, we pay a lot of attention to that. And with the advent of individual agent lines. We're even able now to track that down to the associate performance level. And we do that, we do that to provide feedback and coaching to the blind spots that our teammates may not even realize are there. If they're out moving on the lot and making things happen, they don't always realize that their phones are ringing back at their desk. So tracking line summary helps us with that. But with our marketing partners, it's key. And it does give us the ability to hold them accountable. Their number, in terms of the number of calls they generated, and our number may be a bit different.
Yeah.
Because we're tracking what Carl says, because that's what they handed off to our tool.
Gotcha.
And we don't usually just blindly accept their number.
I also think from a marketing point of view that having all of our stores on one system makes a lot of sense from a reporting point of view and also from a training and support perspective. You know, with 100 stores or so, if you can imagine, if we're on 3 or 4 different phone systems, that's not a great idea. So there's significant advantage in having all of our stores on one system so that we can, as I say, measure performance. We can have these kind of meetings that we're having here, and we can start to improve our data because it's consistent. We get a consistent framework.
What best practices do you utilize when it comes to your phone process?
There are several key things on an inbound call we want to make sure happen.
Okay.
And so we coach to that, and the Car Wash tool helps us do that. But certainly they get a warm and friendly greeting. Do we capture client or prospect information such that we can follow up should we need to? Did we request and invite the dealership the customer into the dealership? Did we go for a firm appointment and set that firm appointment? And then do we follow up and ensure that customer's going to visit us as they promised to?
Yep.
By confirming those appointments. Those are kind of the key that we look for. And on an outbound phone call, it's not dramatically different. Of course, we already have contact information, but when we make that outbound phone call where the customer, when they call in, may have already had that motivating factor. There's something about that vehicle that made them pick up the phone and be willing to call us. And we understand when they do that, they've given us a privilege, because at that point, we're going to get a name, we're going to get a phone number, and they understand they're going to get follow-up. And so they've made that commitment to us when they pick up the phone and give us a call. We make that outbound call. Again, we're not gathering contact information, but we have to bring the motivation for that client to come and visit the dealership. Maybe they submitted an internet lead, but that's as far as they wanted to go. So it's up to us to motivate them to have a desire to see us face to face.
You know, we always talk about contact, but I also think we need to talk about context. And you know, the thing is, our focus tends to be on contact, but I think that the X factor nowadays is context. So that we spend, you know, what Chip talked about there was basically 5 points, right? Essentially, how to, in effect, take control of the call and deliver the salient moments, right? I mean, that's motherhood and apple pie right there. I mean, if you're not doing that, you're not going to get it. What's different, I think, nowadays is context. And that is really a function of where those folks came from, originated. And that is also a function of our marketing lines and all of that, right? And that's what we really need to better understand, context, so that we can then be relevant in our conversation, such that we establish trust. And by establishing trust, we can then start to take them down the pathway to where we can earn the right, if you want, to ask for an appointment. And I think that that's the piece right now that we need to spend most of our time on. I think, you know, with the post-pandemic, you know, the one thing we've all learned about the pandemic is that you know, things were pretty good in the automotive business. Low supply, high demand. That's kind of where you want to be, right? That has changed. And therefore, we can't just ask people for an appointment. We can establish the contact, we can do all of those things, but I think we need to establish the context. And that means that we're listening. And that means that we're much more relevant to the customer. And I think if we could put those pieces together, I think that's where we're going to see more success.
That's spot on, Brian. That's how you align that motivation with their context.
Right.
Where are they coming from? And
Yep.
let's motivate them in the right way to business. So do we respond to our internet inquiries in a different way based on the source?
Yes, yeah.
We would like to think that we do. Wouldn't we, Megan?
Yeah.
And we understand that's an area for opportunity.
Okay.
And Brian, since he's been with our company, has encouraged us to do that. And
It's a
we
struggle.
still have a lot of room to grow.
It's a struggle.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, and you've got to remember, this is the car business, right? In the car business, it's all about now. It's about the moment. It's about, making money. It's about selling units. That's where this context, and even in terms of the internet, right? It's not just about submitting a lead as far as the internet is concerned. Those people have spent hours and hours. The Cox Automotive study recently surveyed 3,000 buyers. And what they found was the average time spent online was 9.5 hours. Okay, so let's just say it's a lot. So when it's a lot, and I submit an internet lead from a particular lead source, chances are I've been in other places. I just happen to decide to submit the lead from that one place. So on the other side of it, we need to, one, appreciate that, where the customer submitted that lead from, contextually, whether it's new or used, etc. Also, the amount of information that we're now gathering, digital retailing has become virtual digital, has become really popular, right? And what that means is that customers are basically submitting a lot more information. Now, what we would like to think we're doing is to read the lead, click the various links to really understand all of the information that the customer has submitted. Now, if you're that customer and I engage you and I don't acknowledge all of the information that you've submitted, guess what? You're gonna eliminate me, right? So what we find is that customers are spending more time online, they're submitting more information, and we must be much more cognizant of that initial lead submission, because that's very telling from, it could be a demographic point of view. It could even be, just from a brand expectation perspective. And by taking that into account, we're going to make it a much more highly relevant customer experience because we have anticipated their expectations.
That's hear that word, you'll hear us use that word over and over, relevant. And I love, Brian, that you said the contextual nature, because there we have to try to understand where that customer is.
Right.
And we have to see the features and the benefits of our product and how that relates to where we think this prospect is. So that when we reach out to them, we connect those two pieces. And if we don't do that, then they feel like they've been ignored. And if they've done 9.5 hours on average, doing research, then we need to do that, take the extra 10 to 15 minutes on our side so that we embrace them on the phone or by email or by text message, that we do it in a way that they understand we're listening.
The thing is, I don't know if any companies are really utilizing AI. I think what you're seeing, a lot of companies are looking at AI mainly on a pilot basis. And let's face it, no one really understands AI. We don't really know what the end game is. We don't really know what the full capabilities are and it's all a function of the knowledge base. And let's face it, it's artificial intelligence, right? So what we have around the company, there are various areas that lend themselves to AI tools, let's say, or capabilities. And we do have a couple of pilots on right now. And really, I think there's a lot of misnomers as far as AI is concerned. A lot of it is just no more than decision matrixing, where I ask, questions yes or no, and you go down a particular case-based logic type scenario. And that's certainly what we found with one of our suppliers anyway. We live in this Amazon age 24/7. Well, guess what? Our dealerships are not open 24/7. But if customers choose to submit leads or have questions asked, I think there's an opportunity to engage with AI. I also think that AI is a potential time saver. That's the one thing in our business that everyone talks about. No one has any time to really spend enough time analyzing. And if we can use AI to save us time such that we come up with highly relevant insights that we can either share with our teams or make tactical changes, it could be in marketing or the way we handle customers or something like that, then I think clearly that is something that we need to better understand. So I think we are going to get there, but I think it'd almost be foolish just to sort of jump in at the deep end because we're not ready for it. I think the automotive business tends to be a following industry rather than a leading industry.
We focus on assisting these prospects that are reaching out to us and helping them find the vehicle that's going to resolve their transportation issues. That's our primary focus. And then once they have an ownership established, then we're going to make sure it stays on the road and performs for them like they want it to through our service departments and parts departments. We're going to do that. That's our focus. So we're really depending on our vendor partners to develop AI and its functionality within the tools that we're using from them so that we can focus on what we have to do. And then we can look to our vendor partners to become more efficient because of the tools they provide. And one of them that we've been pleased with most recently is using the call coaching feature within Car Wars. We like that. Brian and I have been going around the country demonstrating that to our teammates because our sales managers are focused on coaching their client advisors and working face-to-face with our prospects and clients. They're not sitting around studying their phone scripts. Mm-hmm. And so when they're doing a one-on-one with a client advisor, if there's a button they can click and it loads their lips, if you will, mm-hmm. and says, hey, when we took this call, here's some things that we did well, here's some things that we didn't do well. Let's talk about those and how can we do better on the next call. It's nice help for them.
I like it. And that actually aligns to your 5 points if you think about it. I mean, the one thing about AI is it can be taught, right? So we can influence the knowledge base. And that's something probably we need to do more of in the future so that we don't, end up with this kind of agnostic AI, that we end up with AI that is relevant to the Hendrick Automotive brand.
Are there any emerging technologies that you guys or trends that Hendrick is actively exploring to stay ahead of the competition? Or what future technology are you most excited for in automotive?
So I'll chuck something out there. So the future is all about data. Okay, we know that, right? Now whether we accept it, that's a different discussion. It's about data. So as far as our future is concerned, we need to either recruit the right people or have the right systems so that we can digest the data there in a much more efficient and effective way, such that we can deliver that to our operations.
And that kind of relates back to our people first perspective. We see our teammates as our greatest asset. And so we need that performance feedback to help develop them, help them reach their goals. And so reporting and data are absolutely critical to us. And I think as we go forward with this and we embrace different populations of teammates within our organization, we're learning what they need to be successful. And let's just face it, the younger teammates that are joining our organization now need a different kind of support than the folks that have been with us for 10 or 15 years. And so we're looking to see how we can better do that for them. And I think AI may be a piece of that. as we go forward, we're excited about what Carver's has already done with it and how it's integrated into their tool. And some of our other vendor partners, our CRM partner, they're looking at ways to integrate it to just better support the new type of teammates we have join the organization.
Can I just say one last thing here?
Yeah,
You
of
mentioned the word competition.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's interesting that I've been in organizations that benchmark themselves against competition.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're looking to your side, you're not looking ahead, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of organizations become obsessed with competition. I think from a Hendrick culture point of view, we're not obsessed with competition. I think what we are obsessed about is being the best that we can be, both for our employees and for our customers. And ironically, that may seem rather sort of myopic, but we don't get distracted. We wish every one of our competitors the best, right? But what we need to do is we need to control the thing that we can most affect, and that's the relationship with our customers and our employees, and hopefully delivering products and services that are relevant. That's it. And that's really our mission. And the interesting thing about the Hendrick organization is that we have a very singular focus as far as that's concerned. We do not get distracted by competition.
One of our core values is continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, as Ron was saying, we're not going to look to the sides too much. We're going to look at ourselves and see if we're satisfied with our performance. And within our group, we're very competitive. Thank you, Megan.
Yeah.
The word I needed. Thank you. And with that, we're going to keep pushing each other to improve.
Yeah, we're also proud. I think we're proud of the culture, and that's what keeps everyone together. You're going to notice with Hendrick, we have a lot of tenure in the organization. And that's
But right here, you have a lot of tenure compared to most companies.
Yeah. And I think that speaks volumes.